Hello, house guests. Come on in and have a seat. This is House of Chatter, and I am Emmy, and I am going to be bringing you the cold iced tea today. We were originally going to do Blake Lively in the PGA. I will be working on that over the next couple days because it's a lot bigger than what I have anticipated. Today, we are going to play a little bit of a game called Friend, Foe, or Fright. And we are just going to look over her disclosures, her initial disclosures, and that is who might have information that may support Blake Lively's case. Now, it's because there were so many view for you guys because we all know that my audio is sketchy and StreamYard hates me. Let me see this. If I can pull it up before my computer crashes again. Okay, not access my screen. Just try again. Share screen. Here we go. See if this works. So I guess my question to you, hi Trish, hi girly, we're having some technical difficulties again. You know me. So there'll be a video version of this, I swear. I'm just trying to pull this up. We're going to try to play a little game called Friend, Foe, or Fright. Take yours. I'm not sure if anybody can hear me. Okay, let's see if this works. Pray, everybody. Oh, you're trying to put your baby to sleep? Well, that's always a challenge. I used to have to put my oldest when he was a baby in the car, and I would blast songs with like uh, a deep bass in it, and that usually did the trick. And now he's in like music. Okay, you can hear me. All right, you guys. Thank you guys for sticking with me. I apologize. Let's see if I can get this screen up. Wow, that doesn't look good on my screen. I don't know what it looks like for you. I just have to laugh. Okay. If I don't get anything else done today in this live, I wanted to coming on YouTube. This is Healing Hearts Ranch LLC. They are a equine therapy organization in California. I really do believe in their mission. I'm just going to go through this. If I crash, I crash, but at least we got the message out for Healing Hearts Ranch. So this, I'll read it out for you. The mission of Healing Hearts Ranch is to help others heal from grief, loss, trauma, or help with other issues they are having by creating healthy relationships and partnerships with horses. We strive to create a safe environment that promotes psychological healing, emotional well-being, and personal self-growth through interacting with horses. I just want to put that out in case StreamYard kicks me off again, or I freeze, or my computer hates me. I just wanted to highlight them really quickly. And then we can play this friend, foe, fright game. So as I was trying to look through the docket, which is over 1,000 pages, I wanted to see her basically her witness list, or her disclosures, actually. And there's multiple versions of them. Okay. She's done this once. The initial original disclosures are sealed, but then you have the second amended initial disclosures. You have a third amended disclosures, and I'm just going to keep going, StreamYard, because you're stressing me out here, buddy. And then we have Blake Lively's has wildly different disclosures. And if we get there, if StreamYard lets me, we'll cover that as well. But if you take a closer look at what she has in here, even though she names people, she really doesn't want us to see what everybody has to say, because like Swift, she threw up a fit. Even Judge Lyman says, given that Lively has represented that Swift had knowledge of complaints or discussions about the working environment on the film, among other issues, the requests for messages with Swift regarding the film in this action are reasonably tailored to discover information that would prove or disprove Lively's harassment and retaliation claims. So when trivia fun, Isabella's docket number crashing, but we'll just continue at this point. So I might agree with you. Actually, we can take a look at what docket 666 is. Let me just take this down. Okay. So we know that Lively does not like telling us a lot of things, right? So let's take a look at who she puts first on her disclosures. Blake Lively. Now, I know it's silly to say this, but do you think Blake Lively is... Oh, thank you, Khaleesi. Does anybody think that Blake Lively is a friend to her own lawsuit, to her own court case? Meaning, how do I want to say this? Does Blake Lively's own evidence, deposition, things that you have seen, news articles, does that lend any support to Blake Lively's claims? I think she is a foe to her own complaint. Why do I say that? Well, because when she wrote that she could not get out of bed, we saw her on TV at SNL Time. We see her promoting her hair care. We see her with new commercials about Betty Buzz and Betty Booze. If we take a look at her social media for some of her beverage companies and marketing on that, she was still posting, which goes against some of the things that she was saying in her complaint. When you look further into the complaint, when you look at actual events that happened, her statements may not be credible compared to other people's statements that were there. So I feel like Blake Lively is a foe to her own court case. So who else? I thought it was just going to be pictures of Omar, but they had almost everyone on there. Yes. And speaking of that, speaking of the Ferrer social media docket, I'll call it. Does anybody think that when Ferrer put out those social media posts of YouTube and all that, does anybody think that that might have been a threat or a warning or something like, we are still watching you and we are aware of what you're saying? Yeah, I thought someone was obsessed with Omar too. But I mean, you can't really hate on Omar. You can't. He's very charismatic. He's got the voice. He's got the look. Looks like someone maybe Blake Lively might want to fall in love with next. Okay, so on a lot of these, her initial disclosures, they have the same general people. She just kind of recycles it in all 3 or 4 of them, because I keep track, or I lose track. They all have Blake Lively up there. This is just her objections. And I honestly want to say, did she object to her own name in this? Well, she's mentioned 35 times. Let's see if she objects to her own name, saying it's overbroad. And I'm doing this live, so Miss Lively objects to the definitions and instructions to extent they assume facts not in evidence or misstate facts. Okay. Lively objects to definitions of you, your, lively, and responding party on the grounds that they are vague, ambiguous, overbroad, unduly burdensome, and not reasonably calculated to lead to the discovery of admissible information, in that the definitions include not only Miss Lively, but anyone else acting or purporting to act on her behalf, or anyone whose behalf she is or was acting. So Lively is mentioned in this 1,000 times, so I'm just going to stop the counter. Careful, Omar. But he's actually a lawyer, so I understand why they feel threatened by him. I agree. Actually, a good lawyer. Yeah, in ethics and in practice. I agree with that. What are you pertaining to, Khaleesi? I haven't seen it yet. I am so behind. So everybody knows that the lives that I do have really crappy audio, and StreamYard hates me, and I'm just trying to make better content. So what I'm doing is I am putting the topic of our live streams into a long form video, and I'm basically covering the same content, but without audio issues and, not a lot of conversation. And then the end of the videos, I do post some of your comments and questions, and then I go over that as well. So if we have any audio issues, this version will come out in a long form video either the next day or in a couple days, depending on how much my technology loves me at the time. But the Isabella Ferrer video is up. It does have closed captions. It's about 40 minutes long. Okay, so where are we at? So Lively, again, she's just her own worst enemy at this point. I fully believe that. Now, next we have Ryan Reynolds. And we know that Ryan Reynolds likes to be involved in everything that is concerning Blake. See, he's mentioned in 1, 2, what is this? The third, this is another version. Ryan Reynolds. So what the heck does Ryan Reynolds know about anything? She alleges the parties' alleged conduct, the external discriminating, harassing, and other inappropriate or unwelcome actions, conduct, or comments made during production of the film comments or discussions about the work environment or conduct on the set of the film, the production, editing, cut, and creative process associated with the film, efforts taken to market or promote the film, publicity surrounding the film, and the retaliation campaign alleged by Miss Lively. So apparently, Ryan knows all, according to Lively. What is this comment? Let me just catch up to the comments, guys. Girly, after the live, HOC posted a video with young Lively and included pictures of the CCs. The first 2 pages were pics of Omar. First 2 pages of Omar collaborating with others, but then it included the rest of the CCs. Yeah, I feel like that was a, hey, we're watching you. You know what I mean? Yeah, Leanne was on there. Donna LC Perez, Kirsty, DFJ, Lauren. Sorry, I missed somebody. Zach was on there. Reddit also made the pages. There are some DMs that she posted, but I did not post those. Everybody loves Omar. Everybody loves Omar. But so Ryan Reynolds knows a lot about this case, right? If we take a look at the timeline of Wayfair's side, and I'm just going to push this as Reynolds. Reynolds is mentioned in the timeline, and we're still counting. Of course, Reynolds was also a party to this action, and then he got dismissed, but I don't think he really should have been dismissed. But Ryan Reynolds, is he a friend to Blake Lively's case? Is he a foe to Blake Lively's case? Or is he a fright to Blake Lively's case and he is just trying to scare people? Well, we know that Maximum Effort was involved in the marketing of everything. And we know that Ryan Reynolds, his name is just basically everywhere. Let me see if I can get this off my screen. Here we go. So, friend, foe. I think he's a foe to this lawsuit. I also think that he is a foe, and he utilized himself throughout the movie and throughout this lawsuit to do this. Peer pressure, public ridicule, laughter. Look at this. This person is in distress. That's what I think Ryan Reynolds was utilized for throughout production, throughout writing it, throughout all the court documents. So that's my stance on Ryan Reynolds. I just think he's a bully through and through. I'm just going to answer this question. Isabella Ferrer posted pics of our content creators. So in the fight of the subpoena, she called her subpoena harassing and unduly burdensome. And she also mentioned that she was getting a lot of, hate online or whatever. So as part of her evidence with her opposition for the subpoena, she put into the docket screenshots of content creators, like videos and things like that. So if you watch the video I just posted, it says Blake Lively and Isabella Ferrer. You can see all of the pages that she posted. I think there was like eight pages of content creator stuff that she's posted. I'm not in there. I was late to the party, but the Bushwoods are in there. DFJ's in there. Elsie's in there. Zach's in there. Donna, Popcorn Planet. Everybody's in there. Thumbnails. Yes, thumbnails. 8 pages of thumbnails from YouTube, some Reddit posts. Isabella Ferrer just was not happy with being subpoenaed. Oh, wow. How did I miss that when it happened? That happened August 2025. Or that whole fight was July, August 2025. Just if you go back into the video, fast forward 10 minutes before it ends, and you'll see it. Thanks, Khaleesi. Yeah, we have to keep you updated on all of the tea. And actually, I have Blake Lively's complaint pulled up. I'm actually going to pull up Reynolds and see how many times he's mentioned in her complaint. So, right off the bat, 186. Additionally, on August 15, 2024, Baldoni texts Miss Nathan and Miss Abel stating that his business partner, Mr. Sarwitz, suggested flipping the narrative arising from unnamed sources who have made false claims about Ryan Reynolds' involvement in the script of the film and suggested ways to manipulate those rumors to make Ryan Reynolds appear to be anti-feminist. There was no truth to these claims. So Lively off of the bat, utilizing Reynolds in her complaint. And there's just saying that they're casting not only Lively and Reynolds in a negative light. So everybody's in a negative light, according to Blake Lively. But as we know, Reynolds pretty much helped Lively take over the movie. Yeah, just give me a couple of days and those videos will come out. Just trying to do better with the audio. You know that, guys. I'm sorry. But I do love our lives. So, Girly, Trish, I know you guys are here all of my lives, including Khaleesi. And I just want to thank you guys for spending your time with me. Okay, so what else do we have? Next up, we have Leslie Sloan, our favorite person. And she's throughout all of these amended disclosures. Gotta love it. So I'm sure, did Lively object to Sloan as well in this? Yes, she does. So Leslie Sloan, is she a friend, foe, or fright? Anybody think that Leslie Sloan is a friend, foe, or fright? Let's see how often Sloan comes up in Blake Lively's complaint. If any. I don't see her in the complaint. What about a timeline? Maybe it needs to think about it. Okay, 15 times. Here we go. August 8, 2024. This is where things are really heating up. And check out Bocce's video. I believe it was August 8th. She did a video. But at 10:11 Pacific Standard Time, Nathan and Lively's publicist, Sloan reached an agreement whereby neither will communicate directly with the reporter prior to informing the other. Nathan states, "I'm not doing one thing without speaking to you," to which Sloan responds, "Me either." Just 9 minutes later, Sloan breaches her agreement with Nathan by engaging with a reporter at the Daily Mail. Sloan actively continues her discussions with the Daily Mail reporter, seeding false information to cast Baldoni in a negative light and to divert attention from Lively's tyrannical behavior on set. Sloan attempts to portray Baldoni as the antagonist, stating, "The whole cast doesn't like Justin. Nothing to do with Blake." She doubles down, insisting, "I'm telling you, she's a liar. They are panicking as the whole cast hates him." Sloan also threatens the reporter, saying, "The entire cast I will have go on the record. This needs to hold." So here is the text message. Oops, I didn't even share this with you. This is the text message of promises made. And then Sloan immediately texts the Daily Mail reporter. This is the Daily Mail reporter. Oh my God, this is so hard to read and blurry, but Leslie says, "I don't want to go on the record." Never on the record. So I think Leslie Sloan, when she gets deposed or when her deposition becomes unsealed, she will be a foe. She is definitely, well, she's also a Fright, but she is definitely a foe to Lively. Can I say ho? Yeah, we could say ho, like backhoe. She's a backhoe. She's a big old fat backhoe. She's the boogeyman. Fright. Yeah, I do think she's a Fright. She won't advise BL on how to lay low. Okay, good point. Does anybody think that Leslie Sloan has done her job as a PR person? So in PR, it's not just about what magazines that people pop on. It's the content, it's the interviews that people are talking about. It's holding that image and that appearance, right? We've seen Blake Lively be terrible at interviews. And we've seen, at least in this case, Justin Baldoni being coached by Jennifer Abel on talking points and things to say, and maybe even how to say things and what words to use. Because as you see in the docket, Jennifer Abel is talking to Sony, and they're choosing what words to use, what words not to use, because everything carries an emotion with it within PR. But when Blake Lively gets there, she does not seem coached. She does not seem polished. She seems very off of the cuff, which is fine. But then she says things, my husband was the one that wrote the rooftop scene. You're the only one that knows now. And maybe Blake Lively could have been coached. Maybe she could have been coached to be like, hey, don't say congrats on your little bump when somebody congratulates you on your pregnancy after you announce it. So I think that maybe Leslie Sloan or Blake Lively, they need to get together and communicate better about their outward communications, because it's a hot mess with Blake Lively. Blake Lively should be polished. She has PR. She's had PR for 20 years, and she should be polished in her interviews. She's definitely, if I were to take, and I'm going to butcher her name, I'm so sorry, Christy's interview style, she's polished. She's not rushed. She doesn't have pressured speech. She's not off the cuff. She doesn't say, I say all the time. But Blake Lively, she's all over the place, and you don't know what you're going to get. when you talk to Blake Lively. So Leslie Sloan, stop being a foe to Blake Lively, and both of you need to get on it. Okay, now we have Stephanie Jones. Stephanie Jones of Jones Works. Is she a friend, foe, or fright? Do you think Stephanie Jones helps Blake Lively's case? Or do you think she just kills her case? Shazti? Shasti. Oh, okay. That's how I say it. Shasti. Okay. I'll try to say it like that. Thank you, guys. So Jones Works. Thinks she's Fright for Blake Lively. No, I think she is a foe. Jones Works is a foe, but Blake Lively thought she was a friend. But Jones Works' involvement in this has put Blake Lively into more of a heated pot of water. So if you take away Jones Works, you might have had maybe that Blake Lively was trying to do a hostile work environment lawsuit. We've heard early in August from Jenna Redfield that some of the things that she was hearing from her DMs and unnamed sources were similar for things that popped up in the complaint. But Jones Works takes it one step further and takes Jennifer Abel's phone, which is now a really strong case when it comes to Jennifer Abel and that whole Jones Works separate case that partners in crime. They're partners in crime and then they're enemies to each other. So Stephanie Jones is a definite foe to Blake Lively, which kind of sucks for Blake Lively because she has nothing on her side. She's an enemy to herself. Her husband is an enemy to her case. Leslie Sloan is an enemy to her case. And now we have Jones Works or Stephanie Jones, an enemy to her case. And when I say enemy, I mean we can use them to poke holes into her case to make it look like Swiss cheese. Okay. So, how's everybody doing? Are we still good? Okay. Now, we have our favorite person, Justin Baldoni. This should be an easy one. Is Justin Baldoni a friend to Blake Lively's case, a foe to Blake Lively's case, or a fright to Blake Lively's case? Or it could be a multiple choice answer. It cannot be all of the above. So this one's pretty. So of course, they are using the weapon of truth and transparency, no matter how ugly it gets for them. I really have to commend them. How they're going about this is, how am I going to say this? In my opinion, it's very passive and it's very peaceful compared to some of the other details we've seen in other lawsuits. Wayfair and Justin, you know that they have so much mud on Blake Lively, but they're holding it back, and Blake Lively is just trying to throw whatever mud she's got at Wayfair, and it's not working. But Justin Baldoni, Fright, I think he's a fright too. He's shown many, many receipts, and yeah, he is He's a fright. He is a fright to Blake Lively. He is the Darvo case. I believe that he is going to use Darvo against Lively in the end. And they're just trying to figure out that strategy. And I think it's going to be really funny if Blake Lively brings up Darvo. I think it's going to be funny if Blake Lively brings up her husband, because her husband has his hands all into this. You know what I mean? So Justin Baldoni is a definite fright and foe. It's not looking too good on that scoreboard, is it, for them? Next, we have Jamie Heath. Actually, let me take a look at. Okay, it does mention it. So a lot of these things, they say the same thing: alleged, actually, just warning, contact, production, marketing, editing, creative process, retaliation campaign. Jamie Heath, is he a friend to Blake Lively's case? Is he a foe to Blake Lively's case? Or is he a fright to Blake Lively's case? Honestly, I am going to go with foe, because it's obvious in the docket and how she's treated him. So in our other videos that we've covered with Jamie Heath, we've covered the birth video and we've covered the makeup trailer incident. And we've covered the post-birth video, was it twice? With different sets of transcript and court documents. Now, we get a pretty good idea that Blake Lively sees Jamie Heath as a foe, because remember, she wanted to sanction him for one, not giving her discovery or all the discovery that she had requested, even though the discovery she was requesting, according to Wafer, was not even given or available at the time that these incidences occurred, meaning he had another video, but this video was stored on his home computer and it never made it over to his phone. The phone was in question and the image was in question. The image was seen by Angie Giannetti. There was conversation about it, and Blake Lively was like, hell no, I do not want Jamie Heath to offer any evidence in relation to that video, meaning I don't think she wanted Angie Giannetti's testimony in regards to that, because she is utilizing Angie Giannetti as part of HR and all this other muddied up stuff. So by way of her manipulating the docket, I think she sees Jamie Heath as a foe on many different levels. I do think that does run culturally with her, in some of her beliefs. And I think she's doing it, but that sanctions, it was definitely meant to silence not only Jamie Heath, but whoever else could add testimony to her case. I also think that Jamie Heath is a fright to her. Okay, this is the truth. This is Blake Lively. Truth, Blake Lively. Blake Lively doesn't want to hear any of this truth. And Wayfair stands for truth, no matter how ugly this gets. The internet is friends with Justin. Totally agree with you. Fright. Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath are fright. He's shown many receipts. Justin Baldoni has, yes, and so has Jamie Heath. Jamie Heath for daring to make eye contact. Yep. Do you think that was a Lively thing, or do you think that was a Ryan Reynolds thing? Because have we checked out Ryan Reynolds' cultural thoughts and feelings? Okay. So we got Jamie Heath. Who else we got? Steve Sarowitz. For the life of me, I'm not in the beginning of this case. I didn't know why she was mentioning Steve Sarowitz. But looking at the Tyler Perry complaint, which I did a video on, and you guys can check that out, but it's very graphic. And of course, there's some traumatized events from my own family that I will share in that. So please watch with viewer discretion. It is very heavy and it is heartbreaking if the details are true. But Steve Sarowitz, he was the financier, and so Lively is holding him accountable because he's the financier. But does he really help her case? Hella frightened of Sarowitz. Okay. So he's a fright. Let's call him a fright. Let's see. Steve Sarowitz is a fright to Blake Lively's case. Now, why is he a fright to Blake Lively's case? Well, because Lively got involved Claire Ayub, who wasn't even involved with It Ends With Us, didn't even talk about behavior that had to do with Justin Baldoni when she was talking to Steve Sarowitz. And the main thing Claire Ayub was concerned about was the marketing of her own film. She wasn't concerned with treatment. She wasn't concerned with SA claims. All she was concerned about was the marketing campaign of her own film. And so Blake Lively tried to cover that conversation up, and it came out. Also, good point, frightened of that money. Correct, because Steve Sarowitz is paying the legal bills of Wayfair and Justin Baldoni and everybody else. It seems like everybody else in this. He's paying legal fees. Blake Lively is also paying her own legal fees, and now it just seems like it's a billionaire battle versus a billionaire battle in a truth versus false claim type deal, I think. I honestly feel like that. And I kind of think that maybe it's a race to see who can run out of money first. And I think that they weren't banking on the financial backing, because I want to believe, and I do believe, that this whole case is about the sequel. Whether or not they trashed the first film or not, I think they are still after that sequel and the rights, because all they have to do is wait a couple years, which is going to take a couple of years to develop the movie anyways, and then they can go make a sequel. But yes, Steve Sarowitz is Team Truth. And he's even nice. He's even nice when he's being mean. It's like he's saying, I'm sorry to be mean, but I have emotions and I have to say the statement. I mean, Jamie Heath, Steve Sarowitz, and Justin Baldoni, they're Jesus. This is Lucifer versus Jesus. That's how I see it, in my opinion. They were expecting Baldoni to fold under the smear PR, if not because of the legal fees. I totally agree, because anybody else would have been, I mean, we have been doing this for a year, and there's more than 1,000 court documents, and more is coming. And yeah, it's a lot. There is a lot that goes on with this. I mean, I could be reading court documents for days and find new little things that I haven't seen before. Wayfair Studios. Friend, foe, or Fright? This is Wayfair Studios LLC. This is a little bit different. I think this is a Fright. Only because there are no HR complaints. That's how I see it. That's how I'm going to say it. I think it's a Fright and I think it's a foe to Blake Lively's case. And yeah, that's how I'm going to leave it. Because of the CRD and all of the other details, I really think that she just wanted her franchise money in the end. I think that's what she wanted, in my opinion. She wanted her franchise money. Next, we have It Ends With Us Movie LLC. Now, they didn't include It Ends With Us movie in the CRD complaint, correct? I want to say yes. And then they amended it. But in that instance, is it a friend to her, a foe, or just a fright? And at this point, I think it's going to be a foe because she didn't include it in her CRD complaint. She had to go back and fix it. So I think that was an oversight. And if they have been planning this legal case since August, which is what I want to believe that they're planning this legal case since August, their stuff should have been tight, and it wasn't tight on this. I am calling this a foe. And some of this is going to get really dry because she included some, she had to include the administrative people. All right, here we go. Tag. Are they a friend to her, a foe, or a fright? Now, this is not including Jed Wallace. Okay, so I know I said you can't pick all three. I will say tag with their association of outside, like outside clients was a friend to Blake Lively. But if we're just solely looking at this case and what has transpired in this case, Tag hasn't done anything. Tag followed their marketing plan. Do I think that they might have been grifters in the exchanging or the invoice thing or whatever? I do think that, but it goes against Wayfair. It doesn't hinder Blake Lively's case. So I really do think Tag is a fright. One, because they also unsealed the AEO, and we found out that no content creators except for Paris Hilton, Popcorn Planet, and Candace Owens were on that when they were trying to get 107 content creators information. So my answer is going to be, in the eyes of the Blake Lively complaint, they are a foe because they released the AEO and showed the world everything. And I also think that because they are Team Truth, they are not afraid to show receipts. And the other team doesn't like that. No one likes Team Truth. For sure, anything that shows the truth is her foe. Right. And you know what? Why? And if that is true, why would you want to bring it to court? That's my thing. Why would you want to bring all of this to court knowing that you have to show receipts to this? All right, Jennifer Abel. Is she a friend to Blake Lively's case, a foe to Blake Lively's case, or a fright to Blake Lively's case? Well, again, I want to say Jennifer is a saint. Well, maybe not necessarily a saint. She was very derogatory against Justin Baldoni in some of her text messages. But then again, does that go against Blake Lively's SH claim or retaliation claim? No. Nothing Jen Abel has said has supported Blake Lively's claim. If anything, they support Wayfair's claim. So I think that Jennifer Abel is a foe to Blake Lively, and I also think that she is a fright. Actually, I really want to see if she objected to Abel, because she could have. Let me see. Because she objected to Sloan. Did she object to Abel at all? No, but she used tag. Oh, there's Isabella Ferrer. Tag is in there, and that's from Nathan. Where are you? Oh, audio footage. Let me see. But yeah, I don't think there was objections for Tag or Abel. But yeah, definitely Abel is Team Truth. Definitely a foe. Yeah. I am so mad. That is such an abuser thing to do. And no matter what relationship you're in, whether it's a professional relationship, an intimate relationship, someone to steal the data off of your phone or go through your phone and search for whatever, it's just such a violation. I mean, I am shocked. I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked, but I'm shocked. And I'm shocked that even Blake Lively at the beginning was part of that. I didn't think Blake Lively would go that far, honestly. So Melissa Nathan, again, she's going to be a foe to Blake Lively because all Melissa Nathan did was tell the truth. Melissa Nathan is backed up by the Haggerty report, which didn't look good on Blake Lively. It didn't. That report, these reports that are going to come out, those are the receipts, and it's not going to be good. She needs to settle. This is Team Truth. She needs to settle and apologize. That's what I think. And move on. Either to fixing her mocktail and cocktail brand or maybe baking. I don't know, a baking show. Maybe she can, be with Gordon Ramsay or do something like that. But yeah. Kenny says, and showing people messages about them. Yeah, that was pretty shitty, crappy. That was shocking, sad. Yeah, that phone was sad. That, I hope she sues over. I wonder if she could sue over emotional distress about that, because that would send me to therapy. I would be so paranoid that someone would be searching my phone or has something. And yeah. Okay, next we come down to Jed Wallace. And I only laugh because Jed Wallace is so clandestine in this whole thing. But is he a friend? Is he a foe? Or is he a fright to Lively? And did anybody notice that Jed Wallace can also be used as a witness for Lively's side? And he's agreed to do that. And who thinks that Jed, he didn't do anything, but does anybody think that he was part of the grift? Part of the big, big grift? He saw an opportunity and he went for it. Khaleesi coming off of the Jen Able, plus she was locked out of her account. The testifying for Blake Lively, yeah, that sucks. Oh my goodness, can you imagine her being on a show with Gordon Ramsay? She'd sue him too. Maybe Martha Stewart. Would Martha Stewart be better than Gordon Ramsay? She would definitely be kicked out of her. She would be kicked out of the kitchen for her hair, because Gordon Ramsay is not going to risk hair in his food, just like a donut shop isn't going to risk their rating for her hair in the food. He's kind of scary. Who, Jed Wallace or Gordon Ramsay? I think they're both scary personally. Jed Wallace is a grifter. He took advantage of a very sensitive moment. But also, he got paid a lot of money for doing nothing. He got paid a lot of money for doing the same things we are doing right now. Everybody's reading Reddit, right? We're reading Reddit. I'm reading Reddit. I'm not on there yet. Someday I'll make it to Reddit. I just, But YouTube, he's watching YouTube or Threads or Instagram or something. We should be getting paid that money. Hey, everybody in this chat, start a side hustle and call it social media monitoring. We can all sit there together on a live and judge harshly somebody else's content. And then we can give them feedback, either in a nice way or in a not nice way, however you feel like delivering that. I kind of like to be more gentle. And you guys know that I'm way too nice. So, I'm begging for some sort of trauma coming up. But Jed Wallace, he's doing what we're doing. And he's getting paid $90,000. We should up that for the Taylor Swift factor. You know what I mean? Taylor Swift involved. We want $200,000 to sit at home and judge you harshly. Khaleesi says, we need to get paid. We do. Where's that money? I'll sit all day and read Reddit and watch YouTube. Elsie, Omar, Lauren, the Bushbors, DJF, Donna, Zach, everybody. Now the Wrathful Poser. Go check out the Wrathful Poser's content. She's got some good memes. Let's all watch that. And then we can get paid tons and tons of money. Trish, I thought JW was just taking their money, but someone explained that they probably signed a contract and that made sense to me. There was a contract, but it was for monitoring. They basically paid what they got for, or what they got. I don't know if socials were taken down like they were talking about. It just felt like he was just monitoring. And I think the social takedown was more on Tag's side than anything. And if we're really going to talk about the PR of it all and takedown and monitoring and reporting, anybody hear the Ryan Reynolds rumor? And this is the rumor that he is now reporting different accounts, whether it's on Instagram or other social media, to have those taken down. Which, I mean, if that's part of the game, that is part of the game. I don't think it's fair. I have comments on my stuff that I don't like. It's about my audio, and I'm really sorry about that. But I'm going to keep it up there just to be transparent. You know, I haven't had any stands yet, but I'm tiny. But I'm going to keep it up there because it's transparency, and I just have to get thicker skin. Yes, he had a contract for 3 months, $30,000 a month for 3 months to do the monitoring. They spent what, $9 million on PR. So, Jed Wallace, is he a friend, foe, or fright? So I think Jed Wallace is a foe to Blake Lively. I also think he's a foe to Wayfair. I'm sorry. I think he helps and hurts Wayfair. But in the end, we're talking about, is this Blake Lively versus Blake Lively? He's a foe to her case. He didn't do bots. He jokes about not having bots. He admits that it was just a grift and puffery. He sat at home watching all of us comment on that. All of us stress out about subpoenas. He just took a back seat, got $30,000 a month, and reported back like, hey, I just saw Elsie or Popcorn Planet stuff, and I love it. That's basically what happened, in my opinion. RR is so annoying, he cannot control the internet. He cannot control the internet. That's true, but apparently he is now part of StreamYard and Bending Spoons. So let's hope that he doesn't steal any of the details of my life story and make a whole bunch of money off of it, because I'd be really pissed off if that happened. Because I'm just here on this channel trying to raise awareness, on some other issues that are probably not important to Ryan Reynolds, in my opinion. And this is all alleged, but that's how I personally feel about Ryan Reynolds. Street Relations is a foe to Blake Lively. Also, because Jed Wallace and Street Relations, aren't they suing Blake Lively for defamation? So there's going to be more evidence. Oh my God, y'all. There's going to be more. If that case goes through, they are going to have to get discovery on that. So does that open up more discovery on Blake Lively's part from the defamation lawsuit that Jed Wallace is appealing? Or they're appealing jurisdiction or dismissal? They're appealing dismissal, I'm sorry. So does that give Blake Lively and Jed Wallace another crack at discovery? And now that we're so far into this and Wayfair knows more now than what they did before, do they know what to ask for now in relation to this defamation case? And maybe they know more about Ryan Reynolds too. That might have been a really good lawfare move. But Street Relations is not only the foe, but they've turned the foe into the Fright with the puffery admission and with the appeal of that dismissal. We are not seeing any friends for Blake Lively's case yet. Granted, we just started, but there's no friends. And what do you know? We have Brian Friedman. Brian Friedman is in her initial disclosures and in all of her disclosures. I think it goes back. I wanted to see her initial disclosures. Those are still sealed. But Brian Friedman. Do you think she's afraid of Brian Friedman? Anybody? She definitely wanted to shut him down. You know, this is fabricating claims. Yeah, this is what she's mad about, including accusing her of fabricating her claims. All right, chat. Honest question. Do you guys think that Blake Lively fabricated her claims in this court case? Khaleesi says, terrified of BF. She sees him in her nightmares. True. I think Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively both share the same nightmare, and it does involve Brian Friedman. And also, does anybody think that they are warned that they were going to be hiring Brian Friedman? What? How dare you? How could she lie? How could Blake Lively lie about anything? She doesn't misrepresent. She doesn't bend the truth. She doesn't weave false statements and true statements into anything. She always tells the truth, and she's not even afraid of the truth. Yes, she did. Kenny thinks, no, I think Blake is the voice for all women. Well, can I want to be out of that category then. Can I step out? Brian Friedman. He is a Fright. We'll just go straight to Fright. Fright. We also know that he is a foe to her case, but in reality, she's afraid. She's afraid. Look, these are all of the truths. 1 truth, 2 truth, 3 truths, 4 truths. Yep. And Blake Lively doesn't want to hear it. It's like she's singing la 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 la. Blake Lively doesn't speak for me. Exactly. She doesn't speak for me. I don't have any, I can't relate to Blake Lively. I can't. Aside from the fact that she likes cookies and that she'll blame her burnt cookies on her husband, who's not even around. No, I can't even do that. I can't blame my bad cookies on anybody. I'm single. I ain't got nobody. Lying, cheating, stealing, bully women. Yep, that's how I feel. Is who she speaks for. You might be right about that one. I just want to highlight this organization again. For a second, now that we have more stable audio. Healing Hearts Ranch LLC, please support them. They are a great organization. I was able to raise $100 for them, along with your views. So I did like if I got 1,000 views on a video, I was going to donate $100 to them. So I was able to donate $100 to them. Last year, I donated $100 to them. 2026. I would love to sponsor a child for a full month, and that is $200. That's one session a week. This is for trauma therapy. So, equine therapy is one of the most leading therapies, according to research, for PTSD, autism, trauma, things like that. They say the effects of horses' heartbeats can be felt from like up to a mile. Um, and to be honest with you, I've done equine therapy, and it's really good with breath work and things like that. Hang on, guys. I got a little one at my door, so I'll just be right back. Oh, we got someone new in our chat. Is that Gossip? Hi, Gossip. So I'm gonna have to take a break from this live. We stopped at Brian Friedman, but he is a Fright to Blake Lively's case. But I will probably pick up this live in Khaleesi. Yeah, equine therapy sounds beautiful. If you guys want to know more, just leave a comment and I'll share some more resources. If you're outside of California, I can try to find some resources for you and your own state, and possibly some other resources to help pay. I totally am willing to do like GoFundMe's just to help get some more support awareness for things like this. I know that we don't talk about things like this a lot, but I think and I feel personally in our society, these things need to be talked about. Pediatric trauma or childhood trauma is really important to me. My children have suffered from it. I have personally suffered from it, from infancy to foster care, and then from teenagehood to recent adulthood. So I will always get on my soapbox for equine therapy and Healing Hearts Ranch. I will probably be continuing this live in a couple of hours. There will be a video version of this coming up in a couple of days. And thanks, house guests, for joining me. And we'll see you in a couple hours. Thanks. Bye, guys.